up, virtual people? Welcome to episode 102 of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2023. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, brothers?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, the third leg of our VCR tripod himself. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Mickey Torres is back on the show.
What's up, everyone?
And rounding out this righteous crew, formerly of ECW's Extreme Championship Wrestling, she's currently the host of Hardcore Graveyard's Married to Wrestling, which is available on YouTube now. Wrestler, podcaster, actress, and filmmaker Angel Amoroso is on the show.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. We are here today for the Battle of the Tough Guys, the journey of the jockass, and the acting debut of Hulk Hogan. That's right, folks. This world needs No Holds Barred 2, Brotherly Love, and we're here to give it to you.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But before Rip says the worms are too good for you, we need to talk about how No Holds Barred came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that includes everyone watching the live chat as well. Was it Love at First Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how No Holds Barred came into your lives. So, Angel, do you remember the first time you watched this 1989 masterpiece of a film that is No Holds Barred?
Well, my best friend, Teresa, used to get all of these films for free through the promoters and whatnot. So, yeah, she used to get all the merchandise, T-shirts, videos, and anything that would come out through the NWA and then later WCW. So we got a first glance of it, and I think I hung in there for a good 15 minutes or so. And like I tried really hard to, hang in there. I'm 14 years old. I like back in 89, I was 14. So I had the attention span of, I'm catching butterflies at the same time. So, I got to watch it in spurts. So the second time around was actually today when I saw today to review it, with a second set of eyes at my age now to see maybe some things and all the things that I didn't see before, and have my take on it now in life. So I came upon it at first because it was free. And the second time around, now that I had to view it, I found that it was like really hard to find when I searched for it, and found it on I don't know if I'm allowed to say the network, so I won't. But they were charging like $3 for it, and I'm like, I'm not paying $3 for this. Seriously. I remember trying it the first time around, and the second time around, I'm not paying $3 for this. But
reach Angel.
Yes.
You know what? Audiences in 1989 said the same thing. They said, I'm not paying $3 for this, because that's all it was to go to a movie back in 1989.
Yeah.
Right. So $3, as we've all viewed it, a little pricey, even for back then. This movie, let's see, it grossed what, 6 million or 16 million or something like that.
Overall,
I didn't actually look up the box office numbers because I've read so many times about it being a bomb and losing all this money, but I also read that it only cost $1 million to make. So I'm like, well, how much could it have lost?
Something that costs $1 million to make. How much of a bomb is it that it makes 16 million in the theater when really half of the cast are not really actors? So
it broke even. It broke even because it was 8 million budget to make.
Okay, you're looking it up.
And no, I looked it up before, and it's about 16 overall that it made. Like McMahon broke even on it.
McMahon broke even on it. Okay. So I remember famously there was
a wrestling movie of that era, though. Really not bad.
I mean, I guess there was not that much to compare it to. Like the wrestling, the Hall of Wrestling movies are still only one shelf on anyone's DVD collection because they they haven't done that many. I mean, there's the Wrestler, of course, with Mickey Rourke. It's like the highbrow one, but
and then before this one, Body Slam.
So what year was Body Slam?
Stallone one, so the
86.
what was that? The Alley. Forget
Paradise
the
Alley?
Alley?
yes, Paradise
Yeah,
Alley.
yeah.
That one of the first and probably more famous ones that was probably a lot more enjoyable than what we viewed here. So you know, they did try at least to make a lot of wrestling films, but this got a lot of publicity. I guess timing
It's
was
funny because, you know, in a weird way, I saw it in a freeway too. I'll get to that, you know, later. I usually go last in telling how I discovered these movies, but needless to say, I did not pay to watch this either. Nor did my parents when I was very young. But Ian, Mickey, do you guys remember your first times watching No Holds Barred? I'm guessing, Mickey, this had to be a date for you. All your stories are either HBO or it was a date.
No, I was probably 13, 14 at the same time. And I was dating, so I really wasn't gonna go see No Holds Barred. I'm like, I figure
Yeah, you were dating. What's her name?
I'm a huge
exactly. Shut up, Mickey. You were you lie.
It's when you're 13, 14, dates are just like kind of like innocent things. They're just not
Get
innocent,
out of here. I didn't talk to a girl till I was
You hold hands and you go
I don't want to hear this.
rollerblading,
Like,
yeah.
take it off, Mickey.
So but in any event, like I did not see this in the movies. I saw this like maybe like a little bit after when it got on VHS, because like
Are we talking Palmer Video Rental or
it was definitely a Palmer Video Rental, because like I'm a huge wrestling fan, so I watch everything, and so I was like, I got to check it out, even though I wasn't a huge Hogan fan. Like my cousin who was like 2 years younger than me was a huge Hogan fan, and he loved this movie. Like when he would make me watch it all the time. And even though I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I just, again, it was like, it's Hogan. You're going to get the same thing that you see on WWF at the time, so I was like, yeah, I'm good.
See, that was what I was so excited about for this movie. And
Yeah,
I'm guessing based on Ian's wardrobe and background that he was pretty excited too. I want to know how young Iowa Ian stumbled upon this movie.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember this very well. I remember seeing clips of it on HBO. I do remember that, and I'm sure I watched it once. I'll be honest though, I don't remember when. I don't. I swear. It's like I get glimpses of the movie in my head, and I remember, the most I remember was watching it and going like, "Hey, it's the guy from Ghostbusters 2."
Kurt Fuller.
Yeah, Kurt Fuller.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that, but that's what I remember the most in No Holds Bar, and it's like, but of course,
had a similar reaction when you see that guy as a kid. You're like, yeah, that is that guy.
But I am a 90, I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 90s. Like Hulkamania was, pretty, it was pretty there, like it was, Hulk was everything.
It was running wild.
There, baby. Hulkamania. My shirt disappeared. But I had the action figures. I think that's what I remember the most of this era was having the wrestling action figures.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I think I had an Undertaker, I think.
I had a Hulk Hogan one, and I took it to like a public pool and like took it in the pool with me when I was a little kid, and like all the paint like stripped off the thing. Like it was so faded just from going into a pool. I remember that was hilarious. So I'll get to my first time discovering this masterpiece of auteur filmmaking in just a minute, but I do want to acknowledge everyone in the live chat. I see Nicholas Woodall, Angie Saunders, the Mashup Genius, Toots LaRue, Mikey Riffraff, Jamie Aguilar, Monica Thyman, Alex Bonafonte, Sylvia Wayman. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Mikey Riffraff as well, another Mashup Genius there. This is amazing shirt, Ian. Angie says, hey, Angel, you're very pretty. Gold's Code says, rip, rip, rip. Christopher Variety Show, make sure to include my favorite clip of me rescuing Ian from a zip line over a rocky chasm as the Conan theme plays. Best VCR Redux ever. And Oscar Toronzo says, hello, everyone, back from the dead. Glad to have you back, Oscar Toronzo. Gold's Code says, this was Hulk's best film or show since Thunder in Paradise. Of course, being a little bit facetious there because Thunder in Paradise came a little bit later in the career of Hulk Hogan. But I truly think Thunder in Paradise probably
Part 2.
Thunder in Paradise was the pinnacle of Hulk Hogan. and not the movies,
Hmm.
because the movies are just TV double features that are like, edited, whatever. But the TV show was like it's Hulk Hogan in his element. It's him doing everything he wants to do. He's in Florida. He's like riding jet skis and boats and having other
And
stuntmen
it's
do
got
all the work.
Chris Lemon. Come on.
I don't.
Son
Is
of
that like the
Jack
son of Jack Lemon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Our Firehead. Come on now.
Just took a guess on that one.
No
So
Suburban Commando.
I love
Wow.
Suburban Commando,
He
but
do
I'll
Mr.
take no holds.
Mom.
I was talking
Did he
about
do
this.
Mr. Mom as well.
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny.
There you go.
I remember
Yes.
Mr. Nanny. That one I remember more than No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
And since we're throwing it all in there, you got to talk about the Three Ninjas movie that he did as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And
Knuckle
then
up.
thus is the acting career of Hulk Hogan, the entire anthology.
Gremlins 2.
Hey.
Oh,
think
Gremlins 2. Okay, thank you.
And you forgot the more current film projects that he got into. They are considered movies as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Hulk Hogan sadly
He did
is.
a whole crossover. It was a whole crossover. Hmm?
There was a crossover. He jumped genres into the racist sex tape genre. He thought the market was wide open and said, "I'm going to do one of those." And
Well, the mat's a rough place, you guys.
People work better on the other side.
You know what? It's a shame because I often say we just can't have any heroes. Everyone we grew up admiring and loving turned out to be a piece of shit in some way. And
Not Roddy
almost
Rod
no one-
Piper. He's stuck in
God.
there.
Hot Rod is amazing. He was one of the greatest.
I've met him a couple times in real life, before he passed away, and I thought he was the sweetest guy. He was so awesome and so cool.
Class act. Well, it's good to know there are a few.
And I met
in this
Hogan
world.
too, and he was cool, but Piper was better.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Oh gosh, the airborne stuff is already in the chatty. Embrace yourself. I'll try and save it. I'll try and save it for pitch time because we still got some time. But at any rate, so how I came into this movie, I was a little Hulkamaniac, like many young kids in the late 80s. And in 1989, I specifically remember everyone piling into my mom's Astro van. My parents are taking us to the movies. It's like my favorite thing on earth. I love the movies. I'm really excited. I'm like, oh, I know what's out this weekend. We're going to see the new Hulk Hogan movie, right? We're going to see No Holds Barred, right? My brother just turns to me and goes, no, we're seeing Pet Sematary. I'm like, whoa, what's that? He goes, it's a fucking Stephen King thing. It's going to scare the shit out of you. You're going to have so many nightmares. And of course, the second the dude popped out in Pet Sematary, the jogger, Brad Greenquist, I screamed like a little girl, and my mom had to take me out of the theater into the theater next door, which was playing No Holds Barred. See, my parents were the worst parents of 1989 for taking, a little kid to see Pet Sematary when No Holds Barred is right next door. All my Hulkamaniac dreams. And so it was almost tainted in a way that the first time I saw the movie, I literally just saw the ending match and I saw none of the setup. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
and
man.
I saw, so like the match was already like halfway in progress. I feel like I basically, got it. I showed up. They were getting out of the ring already to do that little fight number. And then, they throw him up the ledge into the ring and Kurt Fuller gets electrocuted and all this stuff. And it's interesting looking back on this now, like how do they, in this movie, they do something very interesting. They go out of their way to try and make Zeus a bad guy. How do you establish Zeus as a bad guy? It's one sentence. Oh, he killed someone in the ring. Oh my God. Well, that's terrible. He must be really bad. So what happens at the end of this movie? Hulk Hogan kills someone in the ring.
Not just one person. I'm sorry. Not just one person he kills. Two. Go on.
Well,
Kurt Fuller got himself
he killed himself. Yeah.
Okay, but Hulk Hogan brought it on. Come on.
He brought it on. If he didn't stand there hulking out in front of him doing the stare, then Kurt Fuller would have just kept ripping up the control room and, probably not gotten electrocuted. He would have just gone out and done a bunch of blow and, eaten the rest of his World Television Network staff for breakfast.
Like for some reason, this movie also always reminds me of like a cross between Scrooged and The Last Dragon.
Wow.
Like I can see what? Brel is basically Eddie Arcadian. He's like basically him.
Okay, I'll give you
Yeah.
that.
And
I don't
screws.
know what that
I just want
means.
to say, your first exposure to this movie was you went from running out of a theater from Pet Cemetery, and then you walked in on Hogan versus Zeus
Yeah.
like mid-match, and then saw Hogan. Now I'm going to say two guys. He took out two guys. He murdered, pretty much murdered two guys, and then the
Pretty
whole
much. It was
audience
the era.
stood up and they gave him a standing ovation. He murdered two people, which
They were bad
That was
guys.
the 80s. That just was the 80s right there. And it was fine. And that was my like, oh, it's okay now. It's just like Hulk Hogan murdering people. Thank God. All's right in the universe. Like, I'm not scared anymore. Like, Hulk Hogan, he's a real American. He says his prayers and takes his vitamins and all the, you know.
Yeah, but then what did you think? What did you think when Zeus reappeared in an actual ring at SummerSlam? Like he came back to life?
Here's the other interesting, you know, of course, side of this movie was that in order to try and drum up profits, they packaged the movie in with SummerSlam. I think it was a dual pay-per-view. You buy SummerSlam and you get the movie after, or you get the movie first and then you get SummerSlam. I think that's what it was. And I did not see that SummerSlam until later when it hit VHS, courtesy of Coliseum Home Video, of course. Like so many of my Blockbuster nights and Top Video nights, renting, you know, just like you couldn't wait till the new whatever wrestling VHS hit out. Like, you know, I've talked about this many times, but when I was a kid, the four biggest sporting events of the year for me were WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam. Like that was it. That was the World Series, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals, and Super Bowl, you know? When you're a kid, that was, and I had this friend who lived up the street. Shout out to David Lund. His dad had one of the gigantic satellite dishes that were like bigger than your house in the backyard, and they got all the wrestling pay-per-views, and I thought it was so cool.
You know, as somebody who never really did sports, I do know more about Bam Bigelow than I do about like Nolan Ryan or any of those guys. So I mean, wrestling was kind of big when we were kids. So anybody remember Bam Bigelow?
Oh gosh,
Bam Bam
have you not seen my Bam Bam Bigelow male gigolo mashup? I mean, come on.
Oh my
now.
God, yeah, Mickey, you didn't see? Okay, Major Payne. He's the guy, the biker that he hired.
I know Bam Bam Bigelow.
Of course,
That's
we all
what I
know
said.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
I've met Bam Bam Bigelow. He's cool.
All right, well, then why are you
cool.
shaking your head at me like you
Male
don't
Gigolo.
know what I'm talking about, Mickey?
Bam Bam Bigelow, male gigolo, that's a winner. That's
Right?
Right? That's what I'm saying. That's like,
That's
oh
what should
God,
have
that's
came
the
after
movie
No
that...
Holds Bar. That would have been a better movie.
Oh, yeah, I would have been infinitely better. But like, even still, like, I love No Holds Barred. It is like on my list of best bad movies ever, right? And that's why it's my favorite Hulk Hogan movie. And like, there's so many. It's almost like if you just either taught a toddler or a primitive AI, forced it to watch like, you know, cheap action movies of the decade, and then forced it to write a script. That's what it is, you
This
know.
movie was made by Chat GPT.
Yeah.
There's so many weird choices, right? Like Hulk Hogan doesn't play Hulk Hogan, he plays Rip, but Zeus plays Zeus. That's all we knew. We didn't know he was Tiny Lister back in the day. We just knew him as Zeus. And
Can we
you know,
acknowledge Tiny Lister though? Can we please
Incredible.
acknowledge, man?
R.I.P. Debo.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I will never forget Armed and Dangerous is what I know Tiny Lister from. That man was
And this is something, I mean, it really speaks to this era of WWF. They were finding all these guys that, you know, were not really wrestlers. And like they have a great look, and we can just push the shit out of this gimmick, this one note trick. Like Ultimate Warrior runs into the ring, and then by that point, it's almost over. You know, you've seen it all. You know, Zeus, you know, didn't have a lot of wrestling. I always wondered, like, why didn't Zeus, when I was a kid, they should have kept him around, man. He was great. And it's like, oh yeah, well, he couldn't really wrestle, so
Really?
there wasn't that much to do with
no,
it.
You're saying Zeus was great? Like in the movie, I agree. Zeus was great in the movie as his performance because by trade he's an actor. You know, they trained him to do the moves, and you know, when you're doing movies, of course it takes a million takes, so you're going to get it so that it looks right. So the wrestling that you actually saw in the movie was some of the best matches that Hogan or Zeus ever had.
That's true.
Because if you saw later on when Zeus actually had a wrestling career, and then he was like, you know, with Savage and Sherry Martel and having the matches against Brutus Beefcake and whatnot. You know, when you saw the interaction in the ring, it was like so awkward and embarrassing to watch. It was like, you know, you watch the movie, you know, it's all right for a neck breaking spot in a movie, like you're going to break someone's neck, but to do it in a ring, you know what I mean? And every move he did on Beefcake looked like he was humping him.
Yeah. But at 13, 14 years, at 13, 14 years old, though, I was still not wise to like what was good. I mean, like I knew what was good and what was bad, but I didn't necessarily attribute a bad match to this guy can't wrestle. Like I just attributed like it was just a bad match. And I didn't really, you know, like, oh, he fucked up that move or this, that, whatever. I wasn't that smart yet. I was like more like,
you gotta realize when it's like Beefcake's in the corner at one point, and it's just like Zeus just jumps on top of him needlessly, just jumps on top of him. He's doing this weird like humping back and forth. It's like, what the hell am I watching? They didn't train him enough, you know. But then obviously trained him for a comeback later on in '96 when he came back for WCW and tried it all over again. So it was like, it's not like the guy didn't have a chance at some point. Well, but my point is they did a lot better in the movie than any of them ever did in their careers. So
it's funny. I mean, that's a very good point, but it's also funny. I always feel like, again, I quit wrestling right before the Monday Night Wars, right?
Oh,
and I feel like I missed like the most interesting era because
Hulk Hogan
right before that, like they were pushing Bret the Hitman Hart and Yokozuna as like the two heavies of the top face and the top heel. And I remember getting that WrestleMania and coming home, and then they like were trotting out Hogan at the end. I think it was WrestleMania 9 or 10. And I was just like, I don't know anymore. This is, you know, and then there was that Royal Rumble where Savage tried to pin Yokozuna in a Royal Rumble and Yokozuna kicked him off over the top rope. And I was just like, oh, fuck this shit. But then I missed this great era where WCW was essentially like a wide-eyed child, like I was. Like, oh, I love the character Hulk Hogan. I love the character Ultimate Warrior. I love the character Macho Man Randy Savage. I didn't know shit about what was good or not inside the ring. And they were just like, it was TNT or Ted Turner or whatever. They're just like, give me all these toys. Give me all these things. And it made this really interesting era in the NWO, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Like I missed all that stuff. And I feel now I watch it on YouTube all day because I missed it. And I'm like, shit, I should have hung in there for at least a few more years.
But I like blonde bleached Hogan. I didn't like the dark Hogan.
Oh, I loved Hollywood.
You didn't
Hogan.
like Just for Men Hogan?
Like I'm not a Hogan fan, but Hollywood Hogan for me was the shit. And that was mostly because he was hanging out with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. But you know, but I still loved that whole era. That whole era for me was like prime era for me. Like the whole Monday Night Wars, NWO, Degeneration X, like the whole Attitude Era, the whole time that was going on was great. Like that, if they could have made a movie at that period of time, oh man, that I would have been all in.
I think when you start off as a fan of Hulk Hogan, viewing him as we did as children, as Thunder Lips, debuting in Rocky, you you saw him as a certain character then, and you got that in your head as something that would carry on throughout his career and you know continue to escalate. And although he's probably, I mean, the most famous wrestler in the world, I mean, you like him or not, anyone who mentions wrestling, Hulk Hogan's the first person that will blurt out of their mouths. So I think that his character from Thunder Lips and then escalating to his career in professional wrestling, it's like, you know, you had a certain expectation, a certain outlook for him, and you know, for some people it worked out. And for some people, they were like, I don't like where this is going. But, you know, he definitely switched it up a lot and gave you an opportunity that if you didn't like one character, you know, he switched it up later and gave you an opportunity to, you know, maybe not like him as a baby face, you'd like him as a heel. You know, and it was that versatility he had that, you know, it really kept him sticking around until he, you know, did whatever is keeping him away.
Yeah, well,
Anything looks better than Vince McMahon's mustache that he just premiered this week. Ugh.
the Clark Gable.
He seriously looks like
Those are
he
like
literally
coming
looks
back.
like he went into the fly machine with Vincent Price and came out that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But when
Good
he's
old-
decided like close to what, like 70s, 80s,
He's like
maybe.
70s.
Let me don a mustache all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's going to add to my character somehow. It's like
He's got to impress the new girl.
eyeliner by WCW.
Oh my gosh, good lord. So where do you come down then, Angel? Would you prefer old school hero Hulk Hogan or Hollywood villain Hulk Hogan?
honestly, I would probably go with the villainous Hulk Hogan only because Thunder Lips was a heel.
Oh, Thunderlips was great. I would love a Thunderlips movie. I'm just throwing that out there. I know we're before pitching time, but
Yeah, no, I
What
think
this is.
a whole spin-off like of there was a Rocky franchise. There definitely should have been a Thunderlips franchise. And then you have like that. Then he led into wrestling, which I can't wait for us to get into how we would build these sequels because I got an interesting spin on how I would make No Holds Barred probably the most award-winning film you've ever seen.
Oh, I love this because I got nothing. I've got nothing.
Ian's like, I don't remember the movie. Who's Hulk Hogan? What's going on here?
I do remember.
So,
I mean, like it's funny. Like I got a chance to like rewatch the trailers, which kind of made like my memory about the stuff, and it's like it really was trying to be Rocky 3.
Yes,
I mean, it's almost plot for plot Rocky 3 with Clubber Lang and Mr. T and all this kind of stuff. Was Mr. T okay? I've been wondering this for years. I need to look at it. Was Mr. T a wrestler?
he wrestled briefly.
Why is everybody looking at me
wrestle.
like this?
Because you're
froze,
freezing.
you froze.
You're freezing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I freeze? Oh, I couldn't remember if Mr. T was a wrestler or not.
He
I
wrestled
know
occasionally.
Okay, it was occasionally going. Okay, because
So he's a wrestler in the sense that RoboCop is a wrestler, considering that RoboCop came out at a WCW event.
WCW.
like it's
I love
celebrity wrestlers is
Okay, all right. Because
Yeah.
I remember seeing him like once, and maybe that was a WrestleMania tape or something I got from the library.
Actually, I think he tagged with Roddy Piper at one point.
Is that what it was?
He tagged with Hogan against Piper.
Oh
and,
yeah, it was
and
against Piper.
Cowboy
and
Bob
Paul
Orton.
Orndorff.
Cowboy Bob Orton.
Was that a
Bob Orton.
WrestleMania?
The first one, the
2.
very first WrestleMania. Yeah, I
Was
think
it-
Ian
was it-
froze again.
It was a
Hulkamania has come.
WrestleMania
before
2, I
Ian.
believe.
Did I freeze again?
Yes, Hulkamania is running wild over your internet provider right now. Which is a good chance for me to catch back up with the chat. There is some rating of Hulk Hogan movies. Thunder in Paradise is better than Suburban Commando, says Gold's Code, which I would very much agree. Also a lot of love for
Oh, yeah,
Thunder
1 and
Lips.
2.
A lot of love for Thunder Lips in the live chat. I don't see any pitches yet, but also Sean Gold's talking about his experience working in the Miami nightlife scene and taking the magic out of meeting Hulk Hogan while he was waiting for his car to valet or shopping at a CVS. He would just see him all over the place down there, I guess. Which makes sense. He's a pretty recognizable guy.
Was that fanny pack Hulk Hogan?
I guess so. Also, a lot of love for you, Angel. Angel, you rocked in ECW. And Andrew Saunders says, I love your hair and your outfit. There's some Gold's Code says Airborne 316. That is just perfect.
Yeah.
We reference a movie on this show, a rollerblade movie from 1993 called Airborne.
Don't
that will be happening
Don't.
very shortly when the pitches start coming. So I guess it is about that time for me to remind everyone in the live chat, if you got hot takes or anything you want to see in a new No Holds Barred movie or your Airborne crossover just to annoy Ian, type it in the live chat now. So Angel, it sounds like you have a pretty good take on how to bring back No Holds Barred. What is your vision for a return to glory of this
Before
franchise?
Angel rocks this session, I will say this. I refuse to do anything unless Kurt Fuller comes back. I don't care if he's zombie. I don't care if it's retro, whatever. Kurt Fuller.
I want Kurt Fuller back too, for sure.
Okay.
And I want David Paymer back. I'm sorry. David Paymer, the the two like guys, the two nerdy guys with the teeny wangers.
Teeny wangers.
David Payne.
But Angel, what was your concept for a new No Holds Barred?
Okay, so if we're talking about a sequel here, right? So our sequel would be, as we were both agreeing, at the end of the movie, it seemed to be, throughout the whole movie, Zeus was supposed to be the villain, but turns out Hogan is the murderer. So we come back with the sequel in our day and time of 2023. And now this is No Holds Barred, Zeus's Revenge. Hogan behind bars. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? No Holds Barred. Now,
no holds behind bars.
Catch is that the prison that Hogan would be sent to serve his time out for killing Zeus and the guy who got electrocuted. We're going to take him down for that. So the prison that he goes to, the warden is like Zeus's, let's say he's his uncle or something. And inmates within the prison all are like Zeus's family members. They're all murderers and pimps and transvestites and what have you. So the warden of the prison being Zeus's uncle or father, whatever.
Or just Jesse Ventura.
Okay. And that could be a nice little twist on things, is that
for real.
We'll mix it up with the races here. We'll make it like, we'll have like Puerto Rican brothers in the corner that do all kinds of weird like drug hoarding and shit like that, right?
My people are there.
Okay. So the whole point of it being is that the warden now is in charge of organizing these fights, these no holds barred fights behind bars, and no holds barred, so that when whoever the loser is, as Hogan, I'm going to call him Hogan, as Hogan would be the bitch, the fighting bitch of the stable, who the warden would then manage to fight all the other inmates, in which mostly would be Zeus's brothers, in taking revenge on Hogan, on which, then they would have their brothers interfere so that they can win, and then make Hogan suffer the consequences of losing the match in some of the most barbaric scenes you'd ever want to imagine. So then we would have to take this movie from a maybe PG rating to maybe an X rating, which always then increases some value to the film, so that then we can kind of get in that racist porno that Hogan wanted to make later in his life. We can then work that into what one of the consequences would be of him losing a match against one of his Zeus's brothers, would then be that he would have to then service his brother, or then be maybe sodomized by the whole group. Like these are different no holds barred kind of consequences to suffer in the sequel of No Holds Barred. So what's your take on my take of the sequel?
Bubba the Love Spike.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
That is
crazy.
Fantastic. Oh my God.
Literally, Angel,
that is the most.
Angel, you just created the 1994 video store sequel played on USA at 2:00 in the afternoon on Sunday. Best movie ever.
That is like, the Stepfather 3 of this franchise, like so extreme, and I love it.
Best.
That is so good. Oh, I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless now.
Honestly, like, it is a genre that doesn't get talked about enough, but the prison action movie.
I know.
Give me Death Warrant. Give me freaking Lock
Up.
No, give me Blood Fist 3, Forced to Fight. Like, give me these movies.
Honestly, you asked me to come up with a sequel, and I took it to the very end, and I'm not
I love it.
because along with these tormentive things that he would have to go through, you would see him not only get raped continuously, but to the very end of like the beatings would just be unbelievable. And then he would eventually be put in the electric chair and have to confess about how sorry he is for killing Zeus, and after being put through this. And that would bring him to his death. And then, it's the wrath of Zeus. It's the Zeus's revenge. So that would conclude the movie in so beautifully in this is Zeus's revenge, that his whole family got to really, take it out literally on Hogan's ass. So
Tribe of Zeus runs loose.
We did forget the fact that Zeus attacked Rip's brother. So Hogan's brother, almost paralyzing him. So you could see his killing as self-defense.
Interesting.
You know what?
There's a lot of this is kind of making.
Right before he dies, I would have him put in a wheelchair and then try to fight his way out of the wheelchair. See, yeah, there's a lot of ideas for a sequel here. I think the sequel would be probably a lot better than the original movie. And within the sequel, we'd also maybe want to bring in, while Hogan's there, maybe in 2023, maybe enter some wrestlers that we know have gotten some current trouble, like some pedophiles and some murders or whatnot, and then put them in the circle of having to fight Zeus's family in the revenge plot, and then maybe they get killed off within the prison fights, as a sequel. We got to put some action to this, guys.
I love this. This also reminds me of Chained Heat. Ian, do you remember those movies, the Chained Heat movies? The ladies behind bars.
Good. Chained Heat,
Reform School Girls,
Penitentiary 1 through 3. Like I'm telling you, it's a genre that is forgotten.
The
this is
movies.
Like a Jim Wynorski movie or something.
You bring any of those movies, like it's just like those prison movies are like Stir Crazy is a great prison fight movie.
Yeah, they're all hot, and anything where you have people behind bars, behind their will, and that they're in situations that they absolutely cannot get out of because it's part of their punishment as being a prisoner. Yeah, every single bit of that.
A Bloodsport 4.
I couldn't like it would be funny to see Hogan sign off on that, like saying like, okay, sure, brother, I'm gonna do that.
He's got to atone for his fucking horse shit. So what better way than to see him just get owned in every possible conceivable way for 90 minutes, just the torture, just the absolute desecration of Hulkamania. That would be so interesting. And if I could add a wrinkle or two, what if, because in every prison movie, there's the mentor, like the guy goes to jail, and there's someone who's like, I've been here forever. I'll tell you how it works in here, kid. Cigarettes are like money and this and that,
The Brooks, you need the Brooks guy.
Yeah, the Richard Mazer.
That would be Jimmy Hart. We'll make Jimmy Hart there.
Oh,
Jimmy Hart.
Bastard. You bastard.
Man.
You brought up Jimmy Hart.
He has a megaphone with him now.
Yeah.
Out of here.
Let me tell you something, brother. What you gonna do in here? Cigarettes are like money, and you better hide that ass from there, brother.
Or if you don't have Jimmy Hart, Jim Cornette. Like, because I know Jim Cornette would be awesome ripping it up. Like,
all I want, though, listen, I want the very end, the villain has got to be the Undertaker. Like, you got to have the Undertaker as like the guy down in the basement.
He wouldn't go for this.
Only if he could give Hogan a tombstone and a toilet.
Oh my god, that would be so fucking good. But here's another possible twist.
Bust them through the ground, Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Somehow, what if you could have Thunderlips in this movie too? But obviously, it wouldn't be played by Hulk Hogan because he wouldn't be playing two characters.
Oh no! You know what? It would be perfect because it would enter as Hogan as the prisoner, but then Pimp Daddy of Zeus would turn him into Thunderlips, and he would use those Thunderlips to, as his.
Oh my god! Like that's his bitch name is Thunderlips.
You got
he comes in
Oh,
in as
wow.
Rip.
ponytails like Mr. Nanny Dad or what? What was that other?
Mr. Nanny, yeah.
Oh,
You
they
know,
put him in
all
the
the
yeah, they
movies
put him in the
that-
tutu. It's the Hulk verse. They're calling back to everything.
There you go. You can
Putting
recall
him in
all his
wigs.
characters and put him in this one movie and make him into the bitch character in prison. You put him in the tutu, two ponytails, you know,
Wow.
everything. Like put it all in there. Yeah.
So
The-
in this movie, is it just like 90 minutes of him getting owned, or is there like another character that would be like a lead character?
Nah, this is totally Zeus's revenge. This got
This
to
is
be
all
like
about Zeus's revenge.
all about Zeus's revenge.
What if at the end, and I don't know if he's still alive, but if the reveal was that who orchestrated all this was his trainer from No Holds Barred, that was also previously Zeus's trainer.
Zeus's trainer.
So maybe at
It was
the
also
end,
previously the trainer from Punch Out.
yep, that Little Mac. Yeah.
There
but-
you go.
At the end, he comes out. He's like, "I told you you'd pay, Rip."
I have a feeling that he is no longer with us.
I don't
I'm
think
just
he
gonna take
is.
a guess.
No.
He looked like he was on borrowed time in 1989, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess he's no longer around. But so
Or maybe
imagine
it's
that
Randy. Maybe his brother Randy turns on him.
Randy really did become a Zeus fan. They really did convert Randy.
Or
to
Joan
Zeus.
Severance.
Yes, Joan
Like,
Severance.
there's a version of this where like this could be the Expendables of like our 90s WrestleMania guys. Like where is that movie? You know, like
Too bad it's in that movie's in heaven because a lot of those guys are no longer with us.
well,
Yeah.
this is true. It's
Unfortunately.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like this the fact that this didn't become a thing, you know, like Wrestle movies didn't become a thing. I mean, I know there is WrestleMania, you know, studios or whatever, or WF studios.
WWE Studios came out.
WWE,
You did,
you know, I you know, and they remake the Leprechaun. You know, like I like.
but
all
See
of
No
that.
Evil was good.
Yes,
with-
I love that. Actually,
Was that with Kane?
That was Kane.
That
Yep.
was Kane, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
mean,
I
there's
forgot
some
about-
interesting stuff to it, but it's like, where is the wrestling movies of the '90s? Like, where are they? You know, like that should have been a thing.
You know why? I
Yeah.
think it was just. I mean, like, all right.
I mean,
so
they
it
Oh, sorry.
flopped. It flopped as far as in that case as 89. I don't think we were ready for that, whatever the case may be. But then, I mean,
This movie was
later-
ahead of its time.
like why we got like the wrestling wars and everything else like that was like people were kind of like bored of the cartoon characters and the kind of bubblegum wrestling of the WWE or WWF at the time. So there was no like it pretty soon after that, like after No Holds Barred was like people didn't want to see that kind of like cartoony movie. The movie that you're discussing about for a sequel would probably have done better at that time.
Honestly, I think though,
Oh.
No Holds Barred kind of opened the door for people who were not exactly hardcore wrestling fans at the time.
Families.
A little window into
Yeah.
what was going on in professional wrestling as far as the wars between Jim Crockett, NWA, and
Yep.
WCW, even Ted Turner. They put a spin on like the Ted Turner and the wars between Vince McMahon. So it gave people a window into that to kind of decide really whether or not they wanted to continue to watch this product and be wrestling fans. So as much as it was a bad movie, you know, it didn't have such a horrible effect on wrestling as a whole. So you know, and there were other wrestling movies. They just didn't get as much play as this one.
that is very true.
Not until the wrestler. Not until the wrestler. The wrestler like brought
wrestler,
it like
yeah.
Wrestler made. I mean,
Yeah.
the
But I've
wrestler-
often, you know, I gotta say, I've often wondered, like, what if this movie had happened just 2 years later, and it had been, say, the Ultimate Warrior is the hero instead of Hulk Hogan? If you know, he may have been kicked out by that point already. But if that, I always wonder
I
about
don't
those
see-
types of things.
I don't see Warrior actually sticking to a script that wasn't written by him.
I
that
feel like
did-
there
that
is
did- you
barely a
know.
script to this movie. Like someone wrote Teeny Wangers and someone wrote Zeus.
What-
Guess who this is? I don't guess. That was written down. I don't know.
No, that was an ad lib. That had to be an ad lib.
And as much as the movie is bad, I think that the wrestlers in it are really not the problem. I think that it's a poorly written film. I think that the cast they chose for it and the actors they chose were a very poor choice. None of the actors that even, they're very recognizable to us. We know who they all are. They were in a lot of films in the 80s, but in this particular film, weren't casted very well. They just were not good. They're not good actors. Their delivery on everything was like it made everything uncomfortable, and it made the story worse watching the actors. The wrestlers really were just doing their job and weren't really any different than what you would see them do on a weekly program on TV. They were doing their job, and they did actually a better job than the actors in the film did. So as far as the movie being bad, sure, the movie was bad, but it wasn't all the fault of the wrestlers in it as much as their supporting cast.
It's the writing.
I will say,
the writing is
though,
what did this.
the three
This
villains.
was a movie written by somebody that looks like Chris. Like that.
We have to write something. We all have to eat.
I just wrote something in case anyone wants to make a sequel to No Holds Barred. There, I just gave you a real good pitch there. We can
Hell yeah.
a little bit, and
Better trademark it.
Yeah,
Better trademark it.
Yeah.
This show, April's going to be in that. She's going to be a Netflix on Tuesday next week.
Well, we still have the Hogan biopic coming too.
No, we don't. That is not going to happen. Chris
With Hemsworth.
Oh, isn't that?
Hemsworth. I'm telling you.
They already
You know
filmed
what
it.
happened? Honestly,
Yeah.
it was gonna happen, but Hulk Hogan decided to come out of his shell and remind everyone that, like, hey, I made a fucking racist sex tape. And was like, oh, let's cancel that biopic. Actually, people aren't over it.
No. The only one they canceled was the McMahon one, but the Hogan one is still a go that I know of.
I call bullshit. I'll believe it when I'm in the theater seeing it.
Well, it's on Netflix. It's Netflix.
Whatever. I believe it when I've finished watching it. I say the nay now. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'll believe it when I'm sitting on the couch with my hands down my pants. Like,
Well, I mean,
I'll believe it when Ian's internet is
I
going
was about
strong
to
and
say,
well.
I hope your internet is working by that time because you won't see the movie if
I
that's
got it. Is it freezing again?
Yeah. Ian's stuck in dial-up land, but it's okay because there are some pitches in the live chat. Gold's Code has his first pitch. Zeus is hired by the Preps in a revenge plot. Now Hulk must help Mitchell and his crew in a blading wrestling battle down Devil's Backbone. No holds born. Oh,
that's awesome.
That may have been one of your best ones yet, Sean Gold. Oh, my Lord. You got wrestling and rollerblading. Now, that's the 90s movie we deserve. And if Ultimate Warrior was the lead in 91, that probably could have been the case.
Snake,
I also think
Snake would be a part of the LWO. Oh, come on, man.
I also think it would be fascinating to explore the origins of Ultimate Warrior.
Again,
being
remind
from parts
our
unknown.
audience, we are not sponsored by Airborne. We do not condone Airborne. We don't have any.
See, that's why your internet is failing.
If you would learn to love Airborne, maybe your internet would work properly, and you should give it a try. Another pitch from Gold's Code in the chat though says, pitch: Zeus is a washed-up wrestler trying to make do in the backyard scene until he is discovered in a viral video. Now he has one shot to make it big again, facing Rip in an epic rematch. That would actually be a really great movie too. I would have seen that. Sadly,
if he didn't like debut in the WWF afterwards and have all those matches with Hogan and Savage and Beefcake.
Yeah.
He's already a wrestler, so you're going to turn him back and make him a backyard wrestler? There's a few holes in your script, but nice for pitching it.
In other words, A for effort, and then
well, he could have fallen on hard times. He could have fallen on hard times. He could have injured somebody in the ring in real life.
If Zeus was still if the great Tiny Lister was still with us at any point, would I have loved to have seen a movie just exploring him? Just like I think someone on one of your posts about tonight's show, someone was like, fuck Hogan, Zeus was the hero. And it's like, damn, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Especially when you consider that Hogan killed someone in the ring too. He killed someone in the ring, so
Zeus's gear
was
fire. Zeus's gear was awesome. That big ass belt buckle with the Z on it. The leather after like the TV guy picked him up and made him like his boy. Like Zeus was like all gimmicked out. He had the leather jacket. He had the whole thing going on. The big belt buckle, everything.
I
Rip
gotta
was
say, I'm surprised he wasn't in better shape for the film. I mean, upper body, he was big, but like gut wise, midsection, torso, he should have had some abs or something, because later on he was able to obtain that body. But then for the film, it looked like he was holding the friggin' 5-gallon in his midsection.
will say that is
maybe he
true.
didn't get a time to train. That's the
That
only
may
thing I
have
can
been
think of.
that may have been a stipulation of Hogan, though. I don't want him having abs when I've got the 5-gallon gut, you know.
Nobody looks better than me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Brother.
Yeah.
He ain't
No
getting
one-
over
yeah.
on me, brother.
About this film is that I read a little review about it on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry for even mentioning it, but before I got into it, I just wanted to see what other people's views were on it, and it was like racist, misogynists, and all this like these words to describe it. I was like, what were they watching? It wasn't because Zeus was like throwing women around and punching them and handicapped people and like, you know, it was No Holds Barred. That was the title of the film.
Yeah,
for
we
But it's 89.
Yeah, we call that 1989. Like that's me.
In 89, I wasn't looking at a movie going like, yo, that's racist.
I love when Hogan is in the diner and like these guys are gonna take like the $50 that are in the register. So instead, to save the place, Hulk Hogan literally trashes the entire diner to beat them up and throw pies
throwing pies
face.
at him.
Yeah,
like
and
he had the
cause, like,
best aim. The best aim.
Yeah, he caused like $15,000 of damage to save like at most $200 that were in the register. And everyone applauds him at the end, like, oh, amazing.
Let's not forget the Dookie line.
Yeah.
Oh, Dookie is great.
Took a whole stool out of the ground that cost the diner how many thousands just to throw it at the guy that you could probably toss out with one finger. Yeah,
right. Like, oh,
gotta make it a show. Gotta make it a show. But the Dookie line, that was when we were younger, that was like always the funniest part of the movie when he's holding up that dude. He's like, "What's that smell?" Dookie.
It's like everything just seems like it's imitating like something from another movie. You know, like the limo scene where he's like kicking his way out of the limo, and it's like, oh man, like this is. I don't know. It's just
everything's from Rocky. The scene where he like, pushes his coach down and hits the handicap kid, and then what's this? He calls him like throughout the film. It should have been printed on a shirt and sold like Hulkamania there, like jock ass or something like that.
Jock ass is the best. The best.
They should have printed that on a shirt like Hulkamania there, and they would have made $1 million off the film. Instead of 16 million, they would have made 17 million. There you go.
Jock ass.
I would wear a shirt that says jock ass. Oh my god, that would be
it was his line. You know, he probably
the gym.
Probably ad-libbed it at the end though. He probably ad-libbed it at the end. Just to get another jackass in there.
That is a mashup I need to make though. Just take Jackass and make it Jockass with Kurt Fuller and like Johnny Knoxville and those guys. Hogan and Zeus in the background. That would be perfect.
That's a mashup right there.
Yeah. So there is a lot more in the chat. Gold's Code says Joey Styles needs to commentate.
3D.
Alex Bonifante says Angel's pitch is gnarly, a total plus. Angie Saunders says very good pitch, Angel. So a lot of love for your pitch in the chat. Kyle 2.0 says having never seen of or heard this movie before, all of this sounds like a wacky superhero movie mixed with wrestling. Gold's Code says give me Bloodsport 4 Dark Kumite, which is kind of what Angel's pitch was. Alex Bonifante has a pitch though. Alex Bonafante's pitch is full franchise reboot set in the ECW. First film is the Danhausen origin story. His persona is hilarious and fully fleshed out, and there could not be a more appropriate director than Tim Burton. Angel is cast as the female lead and voice of reason, guiding the audience Greek chorus. Wow, that's awesome.
Hey,
if Danhouse is in it, then Tim Burton does definitely need to direct it.
Love it. I love it. I think it sounds great.
All right, you got the thumbs up there. Gold's Code says ECW with New Jack, No Escape Style. Also says Ricky the Dragon Steamboat could be the mentor in your pitch.
I would love Ricky the
also
Dragon Steamboat.
love to, a lot of people saying bring in Lex Luger, bring in Randy the Ram, which is
you can't really bring Lex Luger in. I mean, you could, but
not right now, maybe.
not right now.
Goldscope says that's what happened when I leave the airborne pitches at home. I get denied. Just love that Ian's internet is failing while you pitching about airborne. So but I've always wondered too about like the different eras of wrestling. Like, I know The Rock is getting, The Rock has the film career that Hulk Hogan always wanted and never got, and he clearly has, a lot more acting.
Even Cena.
Yeah, even Cena. Yeah, there's plenty of wrestlers. Batista.
Who would you say is more successful now? Would you say it's Cena or The Rock? Like,
it's definitely The Rock. But Cena's coming up now. Like, but The Rock has such, he has such a head start.
The Rock gets bigger roles, but you see Cena on TV more.
And also, like, if you really take a look at the Rock's movies, like, there's only a few that have been like major blockbusters. He's done a lot of movies, but only a handful of them have really been good and successful.
It's got good support.
Now Cena is going for more of like a niche kind of more of I mean, he crossing over into the comic book world with Peacemaker and everything else like that.
Peacemaker was pretty good.
I think he's getting like now from that he's getting like, he got Fast and Furious, stuff like that.
And he's telling people how to earn points on the credit by paying their rent. So.
Exactly.
So there you go. You see him every day, about 1 million times a day. So more than The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
A pitch just came to me. If I had a time machine and I could have gone back to 1996, it would have been great to do a Zeus takes down the fucking NWO. That would have been amazing, because he's like, wait a minute, who are these dudes? I'm the badass. These guys can't be the bad guys. Like, hell no. I'm taking down this whole thing myself, and that's a movie. Like some tournament, or, get some steel cage match in there. I don't know. That's just
like
another kind of
the comeback of 1996 WCW era.
Right?
Yeah.
It should have happened in a movie and not in a ring, because he's better on the screen than he is in between the ropes.
Yes.
But he has.
I wouldn't have minded a movie like that, like, and because it would have been all. I mean, Kevin Nash is a good actor as well, so it would be kind of cool to have had those guys do a movie at that time.
It also would have been cool to see an Undertaker movie, to see, like, I know, I just always wonder, like, what if these other wrestlers got the big push that Hulk Hogan got from the company and from everyone, and Undertaker certainly got a big long push later on. But, there was a point in time, it probably would have been like 92, 93-ish, where he was pretty much like the top guy. They didn't really know who to push as like the face, and he wasn't a heel anymore, but he wasn't really like, he certainly wasn't like a babyface in the traditional sense. But, again, these characters that like, I love Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, like that whole era, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Bushwhackers, like I somehow want them all in this movie, and you just can't do that. It'll just be a like the Wizard, like, some kid travels across country because he wants to wrestle, and then he goes to Wrestling Armageddon.
Gotta have the mask.
The mask.
Yeah, like it was. It had like a mask on his face. It was like around that Undertaker time.
What's that?
Something Foley.
I don't know. Do you guys know who we're talking about?
You mean you're talking about Mankind?
Was it Mankind? Was that who?
That's Mick Foley. That was Mankind.
Foley. That's what it was.
I think the Undertaker did really well on the comic book circuit, as they they did a whole series of comic books of him that did really well. Putting him in cartoons and whatnot. So I think a movie would have been great, since he went ahead and did one with Kane that I thought was very successful, and one of the better movies that company produced was See No Evil. So, doing one of The Undertaker would have just been incredible, such a waste that they didn't take advantage of it in the day that they could have. They should have did this.
I definitely agree. Well, I think tonight, Angel, you win the Golden VCR Award for Best Pitch. That was just fantastic. That being said, we are almost out of time. Is there anything you've got coming up in the works that you want to let people know about? Anything on Married to Wrestling or Hardcore Graveyard or any cons or appearances?
Actually, I do have several appearances. I am a general manager at Goddesses of War Wrestling. If anyone is around Aberdeen, New Jersey, around May 20th, I will be there representing all the ladies of Goddesses of War Wrestling, and you could go see them at TitanChampionshipWrestling.com for tickets. And I will also be at a comic book convention on May 21st in Wayne, New Jersey, to support my friend Lee Platt. You can get all that information from my Facebook. Just look me up at Angel Amoroso. I'm also on Instagram at Angel Amoroso for you, and on YouTube at Mermu YouTube. If you want to see some videos of me over there, go check it out. Send me a request. You can see my Facebook. Yeah.
Very cool. And Mickey, anything you guys got coming up in the works? Articles, recordings, shows?
We're close. Like I think
We're close.
the mix is gonna be finalized probably Friday.
The epic
Maybe?
saga nears its
Maybe?
conclusion.
So
Wow.
Rick Barth and the
hopefully, Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like this thing is like, been waiting for a while. So hopefully we can get this mixed and get mastered and put it out there to the world. So
Wow, Master Mania, I love it. Ian, any articles coming out?
Yeah, yes, actually. Stay tuned and Fandom Spotlight for the B Movie Challenge, where I cover not just one movie, but the entire film series of Prom Night. That's right.
Yes.
Prom Night 1 through 4. But
and the remake?
Remake.
The remake was great.
Kiss
Brittany
my
Snow?
butt, Mickey. Kiss
Brittany
my
Snow?
butt.
Come on.
Get out of here. Get out of
And
here.
I believe you have another little piece of news that you dropped today as well. Do you want to tell the people about that?
Oh, yes. Well, a short story that I wrote for Gutter Books. They have an anthology series based on the songs of Waylon Jennings. And they chose one of my story based on his song, I Ain't Living Long Like This. And that should be coming to a Barnes & Noble and Amazon store near you soon. So I am a published author, so very excited about that.
Nice.
Thank you all very much.
Oh, yeah, congrats, buddy. We're all very proud of you. Also, just in terms of news, I want to let people know, good friend of the VCR, Mike Perez, sent me a trailer today for Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story, the official trailer. It is out on YouTube now, so be sure to check that out. We hope to have Mike back on the show very, very soon, and he might just bring someone special with him. Also, you Fandom fans might want to come back on a Wednesday happening soon when the VCR throws a very special party that you're all invited to celebrate 100 sequels pitch. We are going to host an old-fashioned clip show highlighting the best and worst of VCR Redux called VCR Redux 100 Sequels of Glory. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Hardcore Graveyard, Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow 9 Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Do you smell what the Hulk is a-cooking?